That changed the trajectory of yoga for me because it's one thing just, an all levels class, attainable for everyone, but a heated yoga studio, they're pushing you to your limits. And that's
I
the
bet.
beauty in it. And that's, I was getting addicted to the challenge.
Welcome back to another episode of Conversations at the Point. Today I have my friend, my co-worker, Amanda Sprague. It's really pronounced Sprague,
Hello.
but
Yes.
that's a long story. Anyway, so I have Amanda Sprague. She is an employee here at the club. She is a Bev Card girl, and she also does yoga here.
I do. I do.
So as you see, we have these stickers here that represent her brand, also her shirt. So yeah, usually we don't let women in the men's locker room, but here we are. Nobody's here, so it's fine.
We are technically closed.
Yeah, we
So
are closed, so it's all good. So how are you?
I'm great. Happy to be here.
Happy to have you here.
How are you?
I'm great. I'm great. Ready to have a rocking conversation.
It will definitely be rocking and rolling.
So, as I stated, you do work here, but you also do yoga. And that's one of the things I think that we probably bonded over first was the fact that we had aspirations and dreams outside of these walls. So can you talk about how it's been or how difficult it might have been um, on your journey to entrepreneurship and doing what you want to do while also maintaining a 9 to 5?
Yes. So I'm very fortunate to have a job where I do work basically 9 to 5 because most bartending situations aren't that lucky. And I do come from over 9+ years of working in the industry. So um, long nights, doubles, the clopins closing and opening the next day. Um, that wasn't for me anymore. I was looking for, although I made great money working in high volume bars and restaurants, um, it just wasn't suiting my purpose anymore. Um, and I was at a point in my life where I needed more time than money, I guess. Like I was willing to take a cut out of money
Right.
for more time for myself.
Hmm.
And fortunately, I got a job here working the Bev cart, and it did take a while to, solidify my position. And in the meantime, I was going to school, but again, school was kind of one of those things that I felt was something I had to do, not really something I wanted to do.
Right.
So I have 2 associates, but I haven't finished my degree.
Hmm.
And so I came to a point, it was like 2020, when I finally got to take a step back from life and I was in unemployment. And I had the chance to just recenter with myself and my core values and the things that fulfill me. And one thing was yoga. It was keeping me super level-headed while going through everything that we were going through during the pandemic. And as soon as the world was opening up again, I continued my practice. And I had been doing yoga years prior, but it didn't really hit me as hard as it did during the 2020.
Hmm.
And so when studios started opening back up again and I was furthering my practice, I was just like, hey, I'm kind of good at this. And I think, why don't we try to make money off of it
Hmm.
and spread the knowledge as best as I can. Because I was finding myself in classes being like, ooh, I would do this if I was a teacher. I would do this. And I'm like, okay, I'm only having these thoughts for one reason. Like, I think I need to pursue this.
Right.
So, and another thing, it was just things were aligning. I got an email from my studio about the yoga teacher training.
Hmm.
I was like, wow, this is a sign from the universe that I should really try this out. and I had some money saved up, and I put my foot in the door, and I was just really into it more than I've ever been. Um, and yeah, as soon as I got certified, actually before I got certified, I got the opportunity to teach here, and that really pushed me to make moves, because if I wouldn't have gotten opportunities, I feel like maybe I would be scared
Mm-hmm.
to make that first move. And a lot of my fellow classmates from training, they asked me, they're like, how did you know you were ready? And I was like, I don't know. I was never ready. I just got thrown into it, and I had to learn how to swim, period.
Right.
So I became a contract yoga instructor. So I got my LLC in May, and I've been teaching at the country club. I am partnered with I am a part of a networking event, or oh my gosh, I'm a part of a networking group called OTM,
Mm-hmm.
and I do their wellness sector of their events. So I host wellness events, and also just help out with their other events. And we do a lot with the industry and hospitality in Houston. But I've learned so much from them as far as like marketing goes,
Mm-hmm.
and the there's just so much side of business that most people don't see, and there's so much time and effort that we have to sit down and do. And like, we're not getting paid for making our graphics, we're not getting paid to edit our videos, we're not,
Mm-hmm.
that's all out of the benefit of my business in the long run.
Right.
So that part has been quite challenging, especially because I took a really long break from social media um, back in 2020. It was a 3-year hiatus. So imagine my mental clarity. I was doing so good.
Yeah.
But I also lost a lot of connections doing that.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really lonely at the time, too. Um, and that's another thing. Like, during 2020, lost a lot of friends because they were going out friends. They weren't really like my deep rooted
Right.
people. I didn't have that support group.
Mm-hmm.
So, um, yeah.
No. So let me ask you this. Let's just go back to.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
I do know what I was going to say.
Okay, go ahead.
So, mentally, okay, we are in February right now.
Mm-hmm.
I started my LLC in May. I got certified in March. Some would say I made a fat ass jump, which I totally did.
Right.
Physically, mentally, I am still catching up to where I am physically, because I've done a lot, but I
Mhm.
feel like I'm not where I should be, or where I feel I should be.
Right.
But I'm learning to accept you have to go through these processes to get to where you want to go.
Of course.
And so I'm being graceful with myself, but it's a lot that I'm just trying to catch up, and I'm getting there, but
Yeah. So take us back to the beginning of your journey with yoga. When did it start? When you get introduced to it? You know, what was it about it that, caught your soul?
so okay, started it in high school. I was in volleyball, and it was off season. So our coach was always trying to look for little different workouts for us to do. And one day we were doing the P90X yoga.
I used to do P90X.
P90X.
Mhm.
And it was the first time I had ever done yoga. I was probably 15. And we were in this empty classroom. It was like 5 a.m. It was super dark in the school. It was kind of creepy, but we were doing yoga, and I really liked it. Like, I don't know, it was just different. It was nice, like, stretching while also strengthening.
Mhm.
And so I started just watching YouTube videos at home and like doing yoga at home. And I used to do cheer and ballet as a kid, so it kind of brought me back to that childhood nostalgia.
Mhm.
And then I eventually went back into cheer as I furthered my years in high school. And yoga benefited me as far as stretching went and everything.
Mhm.
Um, and then I got my friends into it as well. I would bring them to the gym with me. We would take the yoga classes offered at the gym. We would go to the park, and we would have our own little classes just watching the screen of our iPhones from YouTube. And then I was like, okay, let's go to a studio. Let's go try heated yoga. Oh my God, that was the hardest experience of my, like, that changed the trajectory of yoga for me, because it's one thing just, an all levels class, attainable for everyone, but a heated yoga studio, they're pushing you to your limits. And that's the beauty in it. And that's, I was getting addicted to the challenge, because that's the thing is, every pose has a level, it's attainable for everybody. You can up your pose, you can lower your pose. I'm always trying to challenge myself, and then that muscle, or that mind to muscle connection that you experience while you're doing yoga changes the way that you work out, because you tune out the voice and you tap into your body and your breath, and all in all, it's just super recentering.
Right. What are some of the biggest misconceptions about your profession that you would like to clear up?
That it's a woman's hobby and only for women. It's not. And if anything, men need it more than women.
Why you say that?
Because y'all do not like to stretch. I understand.
Sure, I need to get in the habit of stretching, because I'm so tight. Like, I definitely need to stretch.
And our body holds everything, every ounce of emotion, everything you go through. Just like the book, the body keeps the score. And emotions are just is just energy in motion. And the best way to
say that one more time, repeat it.
So emotions,
look into the camera.
Emotions is just energy in motion.
Write that down.
The best way to release anything you're feeling, any type of emotion, is to start putting into motion. Physical activity, creating, tapping into whatever fulfills your purpose. But honestly, what works best for me and most people it's attainable for is working out, fitness, And we only get, there's 3 important entities to a human. It's the body, the mind, and the soul. And you have to learn how to conquer all 3, or they're going to conquer you. Period. You don't take care of your body, you're going to suffer for longevity. So you might as well start with little things like trying to touch your toes, or, trying to deepen your stretch by focusing on your breath, and
So you said that one misconception you wanted to clear up was the fact that it is exclusively a woman's hobby or activity. So with that said, how can we get some of these male golfers to come to one of your classes? Now, a little bit of that is because it is on a weekend, like a Sunday, but I feel like that's like the slowest day of the weekend when it comes to golf. So some of these guys are not golfing, but it might be a family day. Anyway, regardless, just picture us. We have any day of the week that you can teach this class here. How can we get these guys to come to a yoga class? If I was a golfer and I would say, Amanda, pitch me on why I should come see you. Like, how is this going to help my golf game? What would you say?
Well, first of all, yoga is going to help with your flexibility, so that goes in turn with your golf swing. It's going to increase your swing yardage immensely. I actually have one of the members comes to my class every week. He is a loyal man, and crazy but true story. I was working in the restaurant one day with one of my coworkers, and we were just looking outside at the driving range, and the member who comes to my class was hitting out there, and he goes, "Wow, so and so has a great backswing. Like, do you see the way he just like turns his body?" And I looked at him and I go, "It's because he does yoga."
Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, but and golf is all about form, and when you have a tight body, it's hard to attain that level of form. But yoga will open up your shoulders. It'll enhance your swing as far as, like I said, flexibility goes. But the thing is, it doesn't happen overnight. It's a practice, and most people either begin and give up because they're not seeing immediate results, or they just are too timid to try. And another thing is, like, that's another part about yoga is learning how to turn your mind off and thoughts of everyone else. Turning your minds off, or, turning the perception of what people think of you off, and just focus on you and in and being in the present. That's a big thing, is just being in the present.
This reminds me of something, and guys, if you listen to Michael Jordan or Kobe Bryant or Shaquille O'Neal speak, they had a coach by the name of Phil Jackson. And Phil Jackson would incorporate meditation into practice. And he was saying the things that you were saying. So Kobe was like, now that they have this mindset in their mind is trained to block out all the noise, that when they get in those situations where it's 5 seconds on the clock and they got to take the last shot, and the crowd, they might be on the road and the crowd is booing and they're going crazy, but they don't hear none of it because they're so zoned in because of the practices that he incorporated in their practices of meditation. So that was just a piggyback of what you said, and how that can indeed help your golf game, guys. You can
It's true.
tune out all the noise, and you can tune out the biggest noise, which is the one in your head.
The inner voice. And that's the thing, golf is just as much mental as it is physical, just like yoga. Like, you have to learn how to, even as a teacher, I have to learn how to tune out the distractions, and they happen. It's inevitable. I can't help it. But
Like this past
Sunday.
yesterday, when somebody sung on the treadmill.
Had the most distractions I've ever dealt with, but I need to deal with that because it's a part of the experience, and like I said, it's inevitable, and it also I've reached a different level in my own meditation where I have gotten better at tuning out noises that take me out of my meditative state. And it kind of goes to show about, like, meditation also helps you learn how to control your emotions and not let them take the best of you. Another thing that goes along with all of this is sound healing. That's a big thing too. Most people don't realize how necessary just hearing the tone A, B, C, D can really realign our body. And I'm not going to get super deep here, but our body is made of chakras. Each one has a different note. And sound bowls have different notes. So when you play a certain sound bowl and it aligns with your chakra, it's realigning you to your...
Is that why music resonates so much with us?
Yes.
It's a universal language.
And that, this is beyond my realm, but there are artists who use certain, like, BPMs and HCTs or HTZs. I'm not a music girl.
I think it's HTC.
Yeah. That influence your emotions or your mindset, I guess you would say. I'm sure you've seen what I'm talking about.
I think I sent you this. I don't know if I did or not, but this TikTok sound where it comes from this old song that was on a video game back in the day. But on TikTok they post these nostalgic like pictures of like old McDonald's and it's like, going to the store in the 90s, and they put this music behind it. I think it's aquatic something. But every time I hear this sound, it literally places me in a place of nostalgia and sadness. Every single
I think I know what
time
you're talking about.
I hear this instrumental, it puts me in that space.
Right.
It's crazy.
Yeah. And that's why they say, like, be careful what you're listening to, because it does affect your your energy. I wouldn't say mental state, but your energy.
Right.
So like when we're sad and we listen to sad music, of course, like we're gonna get more sad.
Right.
And then there's sayings that certain rappers use, like certain, again, HCTs or whatever, is to get you addicted to their music. It's weird. I don't know much about it, but honestly, I wouldn't doubt it.
It works.
Yeah.
So, I would like to say, I don't know if people like, before I got in, when I did your class that time,
You have to come again
Yeah, I
because
do.
that was my early stages, and
I know.
I've only gotten better.
but I just want to say that I didn't think it was that hard.
Oh, yeah.
Yoga is a workout. You think you're just gonna do some stretch? Like, nah, this is a workout. It is very difficult. Like, I don't think people know that.
Right. So I think a big thing too is because we're used to doing motions that are like up and down and side to side when our body is built like an X. So you have to be more like, you have to move. Yoga teaches you how to twist and open up and do more than just like the shortening. You do the lengthening and the what's the word? You do shortening and lengthening. It's both. It's not just weightlifting where you're shortening your muscles all the time.
Right.
So again, it's like aerobics mixed with stretching, mixed with meditation and connection, mind to muscle connection along with breath. But there's also different level, or there's 8 limbs of yoga, and what I teach is only 2 of the limbs. So the practice of yoga is also just as much off the mat as it is on the mat. On the mat, you're really just doing breath and posture. But there's also concentration, there's senses, there's meditation, there is truth and bliss, attitude and behavior. And they're just, honestly, it's just another way for you to have a mental check of yourself. Are you aligned with yourself? Is your behavior matching your attitude? Are you living your true, authentic self? And then that also goes, yoga also has like the niyamas and the yamas, and that's the yamas is how you show up to the world, and the niyamas is how you show up for yourself. So there's 4, 5 different things I can talk about if you'd like, but yeah, those.
Of course, why not?
Why not? We did talk about this because I got really excited when I
Yeah.
first learned about it in my training. Remember that? We
I
were
do.
like at brunch. And I
Had
was
the
like,
whole
you
notepad
have to
and
hear
stuff.
about this.
Yeah.
I sure do. I have it with me right here too.
There it is.
All right, so the yamas, I'm going to butcher this because it's Sanskrit, but I'm going to try my best.
Okay.
So yamas are self-restraints, and it's how you show up to the world. So the first one is ahimsa, and that's non-violence, non-harming. The next one is satya, which is truth, integrity, integrity of expression. So are you expressing yourself to your full authentic self, or are you expressing yourself out of how you want people to perceive you? Which, are you downplaying yourself, or are you being who you're meant to be?
Right.
Next one would be asteya, which is non-stealing and refraining from what is not yours. So just being authentic, staying true to you. This one, good Lord, brahmacharya. Brahmacharya. This one is important, especially this day and age, our generation and hookup culture. Sexual integrity, sensual moderation, conserving one's creative energies, and honoring oneself as a source of these energies. Let's be real, sex is an energy exchange. You're going to let somebody in, you better be careful who you are letting in, because you are going to take everything that person is feeling at the time.
Especially.
And it goes both ways.
Especially, though, as women. Because you guys are receivers and males are givers.
Yes.
You know.
And we got to stop. I'm so against hookup culture. We got to stop just hooking up out of boredom.
Right.
Period.
Yeah. Let's keep. This is a show for the club, so we might not need to go too deep.
Sorry, friends.
No, you good.
My side note.
Yeah.
Okay. Hey, it might be some
college
members in there. I don't know.
Might.
So next one and final one of the yamas is the apari. Sorry, I'm just being my authentic self. The aparigraha. So that's non-attachment. This is a difficult one. I think a lot of people struggle with this. I struggle with it myself, That goes with things, people, and feelings. We got to learn to detach ourselves in a healthy way.
Yes.
In a healthy way.
Yes, I like what you said, in a healthy way, because a lot of people detach as a defense mechanism.
Yes,
which is not the same.
Right, exactly. Or they disassociate and, just don't face their problems at all.
Right.
And then we move into the niyamas, which is I forgot to mention, yamas are like self-restraints. Okay. And the niyamas are self-purification by discipline, things to do, coming to terms with oneself. And the best way, and this is how we show up for ourselves. And the best way I like to look at this is looking at the dark side of you and honoring it instead of having shame for it. Because like life, all things in life, we need balance. Just like yin and yang. You have to have good to have bad, and you have to have bad to have good. There is no good and there is no bad. There is only balance.
Yes.
So the niyamas, we have sacha, which is cleanliness, purity of the body, mind, consciousness, and environment. So just like the saying goes, cleanliness is the next thing to godliness.
Yeah.
So same thing. Then we have santosha, which is contentment, practice tranquility and serenity. Equanimity, being equally okay with the good and the bad that happen, although you don't see it as good and bad, just an opportunity for learning.
Yes.
And I think if we looked at things more like that, we would approach things more as an experience for what it's teaching us as an individual than having shame for our mistakes.
Changing the question from why did this happen to me to what is it trying to teach me?
Right, or why rejection is redirection. You know?
Exactly.
And then next we have tapas, which is eternal fire, cleansing fire of self-discipline. So self-discipline can go in many different ways.
Can I just say that I feel like discipline is the greatest form of love.
Absolutely.
There is.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yes, I agree. And I'm in my self-discipline era.
Yeah.
And it is hard. It is so hard to stay committed. And that's another thing. It's commitment.
Yep.
It's constantly coming back to yourself and checking in and saying, okay, are we where we're supposed to be? Are we disciplining ourselves in the right area? Are we filtering out the things that don't serve us anymore? It's constant reflection, introspection.
Yes.
Okay, good Lord, this one too. The next two words. So this is Svadhyaya. Oh Lord.
It's actually a funny word.
Svadhyaya. So this is, just like I said, self-study, classically the study of scripture, actively participating and being open-minded. So always having self-reflection. Also, if you're religious, are you matching up with how you feel? Are you following, if you read the Bible, are you following are you doing what Jesus would do? One of those things, regardless who you believe in. And then the next one is Ishvara Pranidhana. Dedication of one's action to the divine, surrendering to your higher power. So the best way I look at this is, I feel like we all want to control the outcome of our life, especially because we are the ones in control. but sometimes the higher power has a bigger plan for us, and we may not be able to see it, but we notice it in hindsight when we're finally there.
Right.
So this one specifically is like, if you're ever in a situation where you have no control, just let it be, surrender, because there's something coming
That's the
out of
word,
it,
surrender.
and you need to trust.
Yes, in the Christian community at least, it's phrased as let go and let God.
Yes. And there's a new theory, or I don't know if it's a new theory, but it's a trend on social media, and it's the let them theory, you know? And it's just kind of like what we were talking about earlier at the Grammys. If you're not being appreciated and accepted, go somewhere else where you are appreciated and celebrated.
Don't go.
Let them act that way.
Go where you're celebrated, not tolerated.
Yeah, exactly.
For sure. Wow, that's some pretty deep things you just read.
I'm a deep gal.
I'm still trying to.
That's
I'm
why I
processing
love
it,
this
you know?
practice so much. Like there's so much depth to it.
Yeah.
And so much to learn about, and I even to this day still go back to my notes and I'm like, wow, this hits me different than it hit me a year ago when I went through this. It's like the Four Agreements. I had to read that during my training.
Yep.
I read that book continuously. I've read it over 10 times, and I still come back to it because it hits me differently every season
time.
of life.
That's how I felt about The Alchemist.
Yes, that book too.
What would you say you have learned from this job, from being here on a, not like a superficial level, but more like a deeper level? What have you, if you could reflect and think about what you've learned from working at this country club, what would be your answer?
This is tough because I've been in this industry for a really long time. So I want to say I've learned a lot from everywhere I've worked. This has taught me differently because I see the same people every day.
It's different.
It is different. Yeah. So the background of where I come from, most people that come in, I may only see them once, never again, or
Right.
they either become my regular, or I see them every so often. Here, like, the industry in a whole has taught me how to make guest connections with people, and that's why I'm a great yoga teacher, because I know how to connect with people. I can be very personable, and I'm not shy because of it.
Right.
You can't be a shy server. You're not going to make money. I
Yeah.
hate to break it to you. You have to be able to willing to conversate, get to know your guests. You have to give them a reason to want to come visit you again.
Right.
But so that's working in the industry as a whole, but working here, you have to really put your emotions aside. And it is tough. You have to always be on here because these members pay to be here. That payment, every dime they spend on a receipt is going into our tip pool. And how we act, our behavior, our service reflects if they want to tip on top of that, if they further take care of us, and they notice it. And that's the thing. You can have an attitude with someone that you may not see again, but I'm going to see them again tomorrow.
Right.
So it's a different type of connection. It's a different type of connection, period. But it's great because I prefer this.
Yeah.
Because when you're working in a high volume restaurant, you're working to get regulars. That's the main goal.
Yeah, but this is built-in regulars.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
sure.
You just gotta treat them all like family. That's the way I look at regulars. They're just family.
Right. Let me take this moment to give a shout out to our GM Patrick, because he has allowed us.
This is true. Yes.
To explore our passions inside this club. And before he came, we kind of had to do our own thing outside of here. But obviously, with this podcast, he's allowing you to do yoga here.
Mm-hmm.
So I just want to give a shout out to him because
No, honestly,
I've had like 5 or 6 GMs before him, and I never got this opportunity, and or neither did you until now. So shout out to Patrick.
yes, yeah. The moment Patrick, we were in that meeting one day, I wasn't even certified yet, and he said he wanted to bring yoga to the club.
Yeah.
And I was so scared, but I went up to him and I said, "Hey, I can't pass this up, but I'm going to be certified if you're willing to wait on me." And he was like, "Yeah, sure, let's do it." And honestly, I probably wouldn't have, I wouldn't be where I am right now if I didn't get that opportunity, because it really pushed me. And don't get me wrong, dealt with imposter syndrome for a long time. I was like, "No way, Jose," but
Yep.
that first class, I was like, "Well, there's no way we can turn back now." And
we're still rocking.
we still rocking.
What advice would you have to someone who is working a 9 to 5, but still has a dream, still have goals, still have this burning inside of them to achieve something outside of their 9 to 5? What advice would you give them?
I feel this is tough because I think it's situational.
Yeah.
Some people have kids. It makes it a little more difficult for them to find that time.
Mm-hmm.
But my biggest advice is finding the energy. And it's not easy, but if it really means something to you, you should force yourself to do it.
Right.
No matter how hard it is, the first step is starting. Showing up for yourself. Because your dreams aren't going to come to life unless you put in the work.
Right.
And unfortunately, we live in a society where we are very go, 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 go.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard for us to sit down and truly tap into what it is that fulfills us. Because we do have to pay bills at the end of the day.
Yeah, well, those bills don't care about your passion.
Yeah, they don't care about your passion.
Yoga where? Like
No, yeah. And there's this saying, it's like you have to fulfill to feel fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
You have to create in some way, make money in some way, while providing a service for either feeling like you provide a service for yourself or others.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's like connection with friends. I think that's the one. I feel like you've seen this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, I do.
Or else you're just gonna feel like a robot, or you're on autopilot all the time. You have to find, and not necessarily.
That's another reason, not to cut you off, but that's another reason I'm so appreciative to him, to Patrick, and I talked about this is because I've been here almost a decade, and you can start to feel like monotonous, just same schedule, same. Even though this place does provide something new every day, but it's the same thing, same people, same, and you can kind of experience a little burnout with that. But with him allowing us to do things like this,
right.
It can kind of ease that a little bit.
But that's the thing, is like, he is just a stepping stone for us, because it took us approaching him for us to give us the opportunity, because he never would have came up to us and been like, "Hey, do this."
Yeah.
No, we
had to speak up.
Closed mouth do not get fed.
Facts.
Period.
Mm-hmm.
Period. And every opportunity I've gotten is strictly out of someone networking with people and them mentioning my name in a room that I'm not in.
Same here.
That is the beauty in networking.
Story. Yep.
People who have only known you for a couple of months will support you more than people
you know your whole life. Family.
Literally.
Yes.
It's crazy. It's so crazy. Mm-hmm. And that's why it's important to just keep making connections.
That's why I said, I might have seen this somewhere, but it was like, you're not going to get rich off of your family or your friends. You're going to get rich from strangers. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's so true. It's so true.
Yeah, but people want to see you succeed.
Yeah.
They want, especially if you are an authentic soul who inspires others,
Mm-hmm.
it makes a big difference. Because
Yeah.
you can see through, I mean, me personally, I can see through a phony
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat. But when I see someone that has good work ethic, personable, good communication skills, I'm like,
So in other words, when you see me,
shit, when I see the both of us.
when I look in the mirror,
Yeah.
but
You are
yeah,
a reflection.
true. But I think my advice would be, for a long time I, had this conflict within myself to where I felt like I was putting in time for another man's business and wasn't doing the same for my own.
Yes.
And I'm like, dang, I might wake up a little late or something like that, and I'm rushing, I'm getting ready, like, oh man, I'm late, I gotta go. But if I tell myself, hey, we gonna wake up today at 6 a.m., work on some pod stuff, work on, my book club. And if I don't wake up at 6 and I oversleep, then I'm not hard on myself. And I thought that was, and I always felt conflicted about that because, if I was late for here,
Mm-hmm.
I'll be like scrambling, like, oh man, I gotta, but for myself and
Right.
for my business and for what I want to build and what I want to leave to my family, I'm just kind of, I had been like, just whatever I can get to it. You know what I mean? And that was a conflict within me. So my advice would be to not put more effort into someone else's dream than you are for your own.
Yes.
They say if you don't follow your dreams, somebody's going to hire you to follow theirs. So that would be my advice.
I love that one. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any last words for us? Tell the people where they can find you. Tell these golfers to sign up for your yoga class.
Yeah, honestly, talk to me. If y'all think it's too early, or we can adjust times, or I don't open to adding another class, whatever we got to do,
Yeah.
or a golfers only class.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm trying to get men more into this. Like I said, it would only benefit you longevity wise. Your body will thank you. There's a saying that people who can touch their toes have 7 years longer on their lifespan.
Dang,
So
I could touch the floor. I go beyond my toes.
So that's something to think about. But yoga's more than just stretching. It's movement in the body. Where you're lubricating your muscles. There's a lot of people who don't know about myofascia, and so they think that they pulled a muscle, they need surgery, but really you just need to you just need to move around a little bit, have some pressure applied to you.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, Francisco, like his
Yeah.
back, like someone had back problems yesterday, came to yoga, he needed me to step on his back a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
and I just saw him an hour ago, and he said his back was feeling great. So it's just a matter of movement.
Right.
But again, I understand it's not easy. The hardest part is showing up, and that's what I preach about, is just showing up for yourself, giving it a try. But other than that, teach here on Sundays at 8:45. I also do a free wellness Wednesday event every third Wednesday of the month at Space Cowboy in the Heights. It's a yoga under the stars. I have health and wellness vendors that come out. I actually have a wellness expo this Saturday. When is this coming out?
I don't know.
Oh shit.
Yeah.
Okay, I probably can't plug that.
Yeah,
I have
know when
one
it's
this
coming out.
Saturday. Yeah. Okay. But I do other events around mostly Houston. I actually am a girl I work with in the network OTM I'm part of. We are going to start bringing these events out to Katy very soon. So I will have more info on that when I do. But other than that, you can find me on Instagram at Mellow Fellow Yoga. I post all my events on there. Not in the studio quite yet, but we're on our way.
That's right. Well, thank you guys for tuning in to another episode of Conversations at the Point. Thank you, Amanda, for coming on and enlightening us. Heavy on the word enlightening.
Literally.
Yes. Enlightening us. Guys, please go sign up for her yoga class, go enjoy
Or the
it.
wifeys.
Yeah, or the wife, whatever.
Everyone.
We accept all.
Hmm.
So
Bring the kids too.
bring everybody.
I
Like, get
think-
them started early.
Yeah, no, no. Honestly, it
Yeah.
teaches kids how to
Mhm.
sit down.
Yeah.
It's important.
Dang, maybe I need to bring mine.
Yep.
But okay, so yeah, that's it for this episode. Once again, we want to thank you guys. Please tune into the next episode, subscribe, like, and all that good stuff. And we are out. Peace.